Auston Matthews gets off the schneid with a pair of goals in Seattle, but can the Maple Leafs go far if he's not at his best? Hey, everyone. Welcome into another SUN Sports Roundtable. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto SUN Sports columnist Steve Simmons and Toronto Blue Jays beat writer Rob Longley. And before we get to the Maple Leafs and Auston Matthews, guys, we have finally seen what a Major League Baseball game with a pitch clock will look like. Still a few kinks to be worked out, but games have definitely been cut shorter. Rob, you've seen a few of these games in person so far. Should we be loving or hating the pitch clock?
All over loving it, Rob. I mean, I've seen 2 games so far, and it may be one of the best changes made to baseball in years. Already we're seeing a much better flow to the game. We're seeing a much better pace of play. Yesterday there was a Yankees game at Steinbrenner Field that was played 2 hours and 14 minutes. And remember, these spring training games often go as long as 4 hours. So if that's an indicator of what's to come, I think it's obviously a great thing. And I think once the pitchers and hitters get used to it, which they will, they're all playing 30 games down here, and probably within the next week, actually, they'll be quite used to it. We're going to see far less wasted time in and around the batter's box. We're going to see far less wasted time on the mound, and we're going to see a much better flow to a baseball game. And I think it's long overdue for a game where there's not nearly as much action, and the games, quite frankly, have taken far too long to complete.
Loving it, and loving it some more. And I think we're calling it pitch count, but it's pitch and batter count is what we have to look at, because it's not just affecting the pitchers right now. The batters have to be ready to hit. And we've seen a lot of guys already called for strikes for not being ready at time to hit. This is going to be one, as Rob points out, this is going to be a great change for baseball. In a season, I think that there's going to be other great changes for baseball. This could be a great season. And Commissioner Rob Manfred, the do-nothing commissioner, looks to have done something right for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, and to Steve's point, the pitchers right now seem to feel that they're going to have a bit of an advantage here, that they can dictate things, because the batter has to be ready. And if the pitcher is ready, which they will be because they have to be as well, it sort of gives them an edge to control the flow and can control the momentum, and probably advantage pitcher in the early going until batters get up to speed with it.
Well, I can't wait to have all that extra time to use after a baseball game is over this season. Moving to the ice, guys, Auston Matthews was no longer goalless in Seattle, scoring a pair on Sunday night. Steve, you said last week on the roundtable that the Maple Leafs core four will be the key for them to win a series against Tampa Bay. But if Auston Matthews isn't at his best, can the Leafs still advance with Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares carrying the load?
No. Your best player has to be your best player, and he's their best player. And what you're seeing from Auston Matthews, never mind that the scoring numbers are way down this year, is that some of the other things that he's doing are better than he's ever done them before. So he's rounding out his game. And I think he's rounding out his game so he becomes more effective come playoff time. And you can go back to Steve Yzerman years ago with the Detroit Red Wings when they changed his career and then changed the state of the Red Wings in doing so. I'm not saying that's going to happen with the Leafs and Auston Matthews, but I'm saying the opportunity is there for it to happen. And if Matthews isn't great, the Leafs can't be great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And Steve made the point very eloquently in his column on the weekend, likening him to the need for Matthews to be a little bit like what Yzerman was in the playoffs. And you got to remember, playoff hockey, as we all know, is dramatically different, right? Now, Matthews scored 9 points last year, which was great in the playoffs, and he's going to have that sort of output again. But if you look at the style of game that Mitch Marner plays, and if you look at the style of game that Willie Nylander plays, as great as he's been in the regular season, that doesn't always hold up in the playoffs. That's why you need a guy who can be a goal scorer and a bit of a horse, a guy who can be a 200-foot player all over the ice and do all sorts of things to be at his best and put his team on his back and carry him. And I think that's what the Leafs will need from Auston Matthews. I think that's what they want from Auston Matthews. And frankly, I think that's what Auston Matthews wants to deliver to this team. And it'll be interesting to see if he can, because I don't think this team can make an impact in the postseason without Auston Matthews being far and away the best player on the ice.
I think Rob just made the most salient point of all. This is what Auston Matthews wants. He wants to be that guy. He wants to be a Stanley Cup winner. He desperately wants to be known as a difference maker in the NHL. He doesn't want to score 60 goals, win hard trophies, carry a bunch of trophies around. He wants to win the big ones, and the big ones are still to come for him.
Yeah, still a lot to be decided here with the Maple Leafs as Auston Matthews hopefully is rounding into form. Let us know your thoughts on these topics in the comments below. For Steve Simmons and Rob Longley, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week on another SUN Sports Roundtable.